Yo, what up? This is Ree here. Ree up, motherfucker, back again with another video. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate all of you. And yeah, let's get into it. So I wanted to talk about the Fibonacci sequence, the Fibonacci numbers, and how it relates to astrology, and how everything really goes back to astrology. And this is how we get even numerology. This is how we get tarot. This is how we get sacred geometry, is all from astrology. That's why you can use everything. Everything is valid because it's all starting point to look at different patterns. So say it's just different ways of noticing patterns and reflections of the universe. So I bet you a lot of you already know what this is, but for those who don't, Fibonacci numbers is just a sequence of numbers that are that correlate. It's been around for a very long time. They say like as early as 200 BC, and where it's patterns formed in mass. So it's a sequence that goes from, say, it starts from 0. So, and then you have 0, and then you have 1. So if you go 1 plus 0 equals 1, right? So then if you go 1 plus 1, it equals 2. Then if you go 3 plus 2, it equals 5, right? Then 5 plus 3, it equals 8. So it's adding, it's a sequence that adds these numbers and then creates another one, and it's never ending. So that's why we see, these are the numbers that we see most often as well in our reality. This is kind of just showing you how 1 plus 2 equals 3. 5 plus 3 equals 8. It's just kind of in a different form. So these numbers which relate to the golden ratio, this is like very important because I'll show you why. And a lot of people don't know this. I got this chart from a YouTuber and I can't remember who it was. Or else I would shout them out. But this is the Fibonacci sequence all on here, which is single digits. And how it relates, it goes all around the circle in astrology, and it relates to astrology. So if you see here, 0 plus 1 equals 1, 1 plus 2 equals 3. So it goes all down here. And then these ones, so this is, then these ones, it goes 1 plus 0, or 1, 10 minus 1 equals 9. 9 minus 2 equals 7. So then then it decreases as it goes. And then you see it lines up perfectly and makes sacred geometry. So you have the 0 and the 0 here. Perfect. The 0, 0 here, 5, 5 here. And the crazy thing about this is it lines up also perfectly. Oh, sorry, that's my next slide. It lines up perfectly with all the elements. Hope you guys can see that here. And it lines up perfectly with the zodiac. This also lines up with music as well, too, because astrology is it's a frequency. It's tones, right? It's tones we can't hear. It's the same as music. So, and yeah, and this is where we get tarot. This is where we get numerology from. So a lot of people get confused, but if you cast an election for a specific date, like say you want an event to happen on a specific date, and you're like, okay, I want this to happen on June 23rd, 2023, right? And you do an election, and then you do it at 7:29 p.m., right? And then you do it at exact that time. You're creating an event for that time, and then once you create that event in astrology, then everything else lines up. All the numbers line up. The numerology, the gematria, the tarot, everything lines up from that. So the same as if you created an event with just numerology, the astrology would line up too. It's all, everything's working at the same time. And what's crazy is it works with all the with all the elements, all the zodiac that has to do with fire, the ones that have to do with earth, the air, and the water. It lines up with these as well. Like, it goes really deep. I wish I remembered the channel, because I would tell you to go check out this guy's channel who kind of broke this down. But I just thought it was really interesting, and how it creates these beautiful patterns, right? And these patterns indicate so much that people don't realize. This is one of the things it does when this is the Venus retrograde dates. And when you put the Venus retrograde dates in, they create these beautiful stars, these 5-pointed stars, right? And which also equals the elements in witchcraft. So it's pretty crazy that everything just links together so perfectly, and we have no idea who's doing it. And then so you have that. Another crazy thing that I was thinking about sacred geometry that I just want to add is that back in the day when, like, people have stars on their birth charts, right? I actually have a 6-pointed star on my birth chart. So that's how I knew. But they used to say that if it adds up, if in Jewish astrology, they would say, like, if someone came through and he was supposed to be a king, he would have a 6-pointed star with the personal planets. Mine doesn't have all the personal planets, so I'm not saying I'm a king, but I'm saying that they would come through and have a 6-pointed star in their birth chart. So that's how they knew, like, you couldn't fake being a king. So they would know, and then there's certain placements as well, but it would create this beautiful stars, right? But they would also say back in the day, where I think that's where people became, like, afraid of the 5-pointed star, because they would say if you had a 5-pointed star, and it would, I forget, it would be like equal elements, I think, or there was fire. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was a bad sign. It was a sign that things were going to be very heavy in your life, or you might have a very hard life. So that's where it came from. So I think that's where a lot of people, and the misconception came from as well, with a lot of people being afraid. That's where the misconception comes from, the Venus in retrograde, because everyone says, oh yeah, the Venus, the morning star, and then they call it Lucifer and everything like that. Well, it literally creates a star. That's where that comes from. So it's not something to be afraid of. And yeah, that's just little quick pointers. All right, I love y'all, and yeah, motherfucker, easy.